Hello and welcome to the next episode of my channel where I'll be taking up the lesson The Enemy from class 12th. In this chapter, we see that the background is of World War and a Japanese doctor, Dr. Sadao Hoki, is standing in front of his house looking at the islands a little far away. He remembers his childhood days when his father used to point out toward those islands and used to tell him that they are the future of Japan. Now a little bit about his father. His father was a true Japanese. He did not allow a single foreign object to enter his house. He never joked with his son. He never played with him. But he took a lot of pain for his son's education. And this is why, at the age of 22, he sent his son, Dr. Sadao, to America for learning medicine and surgery. Dr. Sadao had come back at the age of 30 before his father died. Dr. Sadao really liked his father a lot, and he did whatever he told him. Just then, when he was standing outside his house looking at the islands, his wife Hannah joins him. He remembers the day when he had met Hannah at a professor's house, Professor Harley's house in America. He had waited for some time to fall in love with her before he could justify or before he could be sure that she was a Japanese. Why did he do so? Because he really admired his father. He did not want to go against his father, and his father did not want any foreign object in his house other than what was Japanese. So he had waited to fall in love with the girl, and only when he was sure that she was a Japanese lady, that is when he had fallen in love with her and consequently got married to her. Now today, when both of them were standing outside looking at the island, it was becoming more and more misty because they were on the shore. Just then, they saw an outline. They saw some figure in the sea. "Who is that?" Hannah cried. And both of them ran to save that man. Initially, they thought it was a fisherman who was washed from his boat. But when they went nearer to the body, they saw it was a white man. It was an American. Now the problem is they were in the middle of a world war. Japan was on war with America, and here right in front of them was a white man. There was an American. He was bleeding. So now Sadao asked his wife, "What should we do?" "The best thing is we should throw him into the sea so that we don't give him pain." Now the problem is Japan is on war with America. They can't save a soldier, a prisoner of war. And the second thing is the general of Japan, that is General Takima, he was very strict. So both husband and wife decided that the best way to get rid of this man was to throw him into the sea. But then they did a little more investigation and they found out his uniform which he was wearing, and it was a battered uniform and it was written US Navy. So they concluded that he was a sailor from an American war ship. The man was a prisoner of war and somehow he had escaped. They hesitated. They did not know what to do. They had thought that they would throw him into the sea. But then there was something which stopped both of them from throwing him into the sea. And what was that? He was wounded. Now let's not forget that Dr. Sadao was obviously a doctor, and it is a doctor's duty to save every wounded. So that doctor's instinct won over the feeling of being Japanese. They could not throw him. And Dr. Sadao thought that they should take the prisoner inside the house, but then they were also worried about the servants at the house. They would not like an American, but then they decided that they would tell the servants that they intend to give him over to the police as soon as he had recovered. Now, Dr. Sadao felt that this man needs to be operated or else he would die. But then Hannah is like, don't try to save him. What if he should live? See, there is a little conflict here. They didn't want to throw him into the sea because they didn't want him to die. They brought him in because again they're giving justification that we will hand him over once he has recovered. But then for recovering him, for him to recover, Dr. Sadao needs to operate on him, but then his wife is against it. Why do you want to operate on him? Why do you want to make him live? So there is a constant conflict. Should we let him die? Should we let him live? But then the doctor decides to operate on him. But the first thing is, this man needs to be washed. And so Hannah calls the lady who used to take care of the babies, that is Yumi, to wash the man. But as soon as Yumi sees this man, she is like, no, I cannot touch him. I have never touched a white man. I am not going to wash. Even the servants started talking. They were against this decision of Dr. Sadao bringing a foreigner inside the house, the same room where his father used to live. His father, who was totally against any foreign object, any foreign person. So they were totally against it. And Yumi also straight away said that she is not going to wash him. So now it was Hannah's job. She cleaned the man himself. And then after she had cleaned, Dr. Sadao entered with his kit to operate on him, and he wanted her to fetch the towels and with a little bit of anesthesia. They were very, very particular about not ruining the mat with the blood, but then ultimately it got ruined because he was continuously bleeding. Now, when Dr. Sadao started operating on this man, he started talking to him. It was Dr. Sadao's habit. Whenever he used to operate, he used to talk to the body in front of him. And then he realized that the wound was very, very, very deep. And the bullet was deep inside and he needed to operate. And Hannah, that was his wife, was with him in the room, and she had never seen any operation before. So obviously she got a choking feeling. She couldn't see so much blood. She couldn't tolerate it. So she went out and she started retching. She started vomiting. Dr. Sadao could hear her vomiting, but then he continued with his operation. He was now a master at his art he knew so well, that is operating on a body. And he felt it was good that she is just cleaning her stomach. After some time, Hannah comes in and Dr. Sadao warns her to saturate cotton with anesthesia and bring near the man's nose as he was operating on him. Now see, Sadao is operating on him, but still he wants him to be operated under anesthesia. That means he is doing everything what a good doctor should do to save the patient, even though again and again he's trying to justify that I don't want him to live, I have nothing to do with him. Now when Hannah came closer to his face, she sees his wound and she feels kind of terror. She starts thinking about all the suffering of the prisoners. She knows that General Takima is very, very strict. He is strict to such an extent that he even beats his wife mercilessly. Now, right now, all the Japanese are on war except Dr. Sadao. Why is it so? Because the general needs Dr. Sadao for himself. The general is having some medical issue and he can only trust Dr. Sadao, and plus Dr. Sadao is a genius. He is experimenting on how to clear up wound instantly or easily or very quickly. So looking at the man's wound, she starts thinking about how merciless General Takima is. So finally the operation is done and he is given a hypodermic injection to heal him up and everything, and Dr. Sadao concludes that that man is going to live after all. Now, he starts, when he gains consciousness, the prisoner talks to these people and how come he's like totally surprised, where am I? And these people talk to him in English. Hannah says, don't be afraid. So he's like, how do you know English? But she kept quiet. And they ask him to lie down for some time. Now, after 7 days, what happens? After 7 days, two things happen. First thing, the stitches of the sailor is removed and he is fit and fine. So Dr. Sadao wants to write a letter to the police about this man, but every time he starts to write the letter, he stops it in the middle and he keeps it back. So on the 7th day, finally what happens is, this man is now almost recovered. His stitches have been removed, and but the servants, they have finally stopped working. They have decided to stop working at their house, and when Hannah wakes up, she finds that nothing is done in the house. So she understands that they have given up completely. They are totally against the master's decision of keeping the prisoner at home. So after 7th day of the prisoner coming to the house and being operated, they just tell Yumi that they are not ready to work here, and if they have to send him to the police, why did they save their life? Why did they save the prisoner's life? So they're totally against it. And the second thing which happens is, in the afternoon, a messenger comes from General Takima. Point to be noted, after the soldiers are sent away, a messenger comes to their house. Now when a messenger comes to the house, obviously Hannah is very, very terrified, because the messenger tells her that General Takima wants to meet Dr. Sadao. So she is very, very terrified. She thinks that General has come to know, and she's scared what is going to happen with her husband. So she goes and tells her husband that General Takima wants him. And Sadao goes to General Takima, but then he sees that his wife is totally terrified. She is scared. She does not know, that she feels that something bad is going to happen. So he thinks the best job right now is to inform General about the prisoner at home, and he informs him and he tells him that, see sir, I have nothing to do with the prisoner. I just operated him. I just brought him in because I wanted to hand him back to you. So the general says that he says, I cannot arrest you, because if I arrest you and if I need your medical service, what am I going to do? So he said that yes, okay, fine, I will do one thing. I will send my assassins to your house, keep the partition open, and my men will come, they'll kill him, and they will also remove the body. There is nothing to worry about, and tonight I'll send my assassins to kill him. Now Dr. Sadao goes home, but he does not inform about this assassination plan to his wife, because now he's scared that his wife will be terrified now that they even know the prisoner's name. His name was Tom. So that night Dr. Sadao was not able to sleep well at all, and whenever he heard some kind of noise, he thought that the assassins had come to kill him. But the morning when he woke up, there was no assassin. First night over, second night over, third night he heard some sound, and his wife wanted to get up and see if children are sleeping properly and what was that sound. But he was so terrified, he stopped her, don't go, that she was also terrified. She didn't go and get up and check what was the noise about. But then again in the morning when he went up to this man's room, he found that he was sleeping. Nobody had come to kill him. So he is very, very fed up now. He's terrified because he's worrying every day. Every day he gets up, he has a feeling that now the man has been killed. But till now the man has not been killed. So he goes in the morning, he checks his temperature, the man's temperature. The man seems to be fine, and the servants have also said that they will only come back only after the prisoner is sent away. So he has only one option, and that is to send the prisoner away. He has done everything. He has informed General Takima. So now the best thing is to send the prisoner away. So he gives him a boat, he gives him food and everything. He gives him his own torch, and he says that you go to that island there, and you will find fresh fish. You can catch them and eat them, and don't light a fire, because if you light a fire, everybody will come to know your presence, and very soon you will get a Korean boat. You can take the boat and escape. So he gives him a torch that if you run out of food, you flash it twice, and if everything is okay, you flash it once, and once I don't see any flash, I'll understand that you have escaped. So he sends the man away, and that was the night he slept when he saw him going away, and he saw his light flash to find his way. So he was happy that he has gone. But now he goes and informs the general, because he has to be on a safer side. He has to save his family, and so he goes and informs him, because general himself had called him for some medical service. He tells him that the man has escaped, and general was like, I had promised you that I will send the men to kill him. So Sadao says, yes sir, you had promised, but you never sent. So Sadao tells him that, you see, I was myself worried with my own medical health, and that is why I was not paying attention to the other matter. And Sadao was, I swear to your loyalty, Excellency, and that the general didn't want Sadao to be arrested and didn't want anybody to know about him, because he was an asset to General Takima. So Sadao just goes away swearing his loyalty and to the general, and when he comes home, the biggest reward he could get was that he didn't see any flash. That means the soldier had escaped, and he goes, and then the servants come back to work at his house. He goes back to the veranda and he starts thinking about all the Americans he had met before. His teacher of anatomy, who had said that a doctor should know the body very well. He remembers his landlady who had been bitter, but then she had also taken care of him when he had got influenza. And then he tries thinking why he had not been able to kill this white man. What was it that had stopped him? So we find that humanity, or we find that the instinct of doctor is overpowering the feeling of war, or the feeling of being a Japanese, a true Japanese. So इस कहानी में हम ये देखते हैं कि एक डॉक्टर है जिसके पास एक prisoner of war, अमेरिका का prisoner of war आता है, और डॉक्टर ने उसकी जान बचाई, even though उसके servants और उसे छोड़कर चले जाते हैं, और हमेशा एक खतरा रहता है कि जनरल को पता चल जाएगा और जनरल फिर उसके खिलाफ कोई एक्शन लेगा, लेकिन वो फिर भी उसकी जान बचाता है, उसे खड़े होने, अपने पैरों में खड़े होने का, फिर से दवा और सब कुछ, ऑपरेशन सब कुछ करता है, लेकिन साथ में अपने आप को बचाने की पूरी कोशिश करता है। वो जनरल को भी जाकर बता देता है, और वो उसे भागने में भी मदद करता है। सो डॉक्टर सदाओ कुल मिलाकर एक बहुत ही अच्छे इंसान है, लेकिन उससे पहले एक बहुत ही अच्छे डॉक्टर है जिन्होंने अपने डॉक्टर होने का फर्ज निभाया, अपने जान को खतरे में डालने के बाद भी। So I hope you have understood the chapter. Have a great day ahead. Keep liking, keep subscribing, and wait for my next video. Thank you.